All right, let's now get to our conversation today. There seemed to be mixed reaction on President Tinubu's administration since May the 29th. But have you ever wondered the perception of Nigerians abroad on the administration of President Bola Tinubu, from fuel subsidy removal to appointments, student loans, and then just various economic policies? Let's get a first-hand update on this. Joining us is the Publicity Secretary, APC Canada Chapter, Bayo Adedosu. Good to have you join us. He joins us virtually.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, considering that there were Nigerians abroad who supported different candidates during the general election, as it stands now, what is the overall perception of the Tinubu administration by Nigerians in diaspora, and that's especially in Canada, where you live?
Thank you very much for asking that question. One thing we should appreciate is electioneering is done, is concluded. We have a sitting president that was elected with plurality of votes. That is the majority vote amongst the three contestants. So right now, the average Nigerian, not just in Nigeria, but even in the diaspora, are focused on governance and how we can actually add value, how we can bring to bear our wealth of experience and exposure, because we are all stakeholders. The fact that we had different candidates, different choices during the election, that is now aside. The task before each and every one of us in the diaspora, not just in Canada, but generally amongst us, is how do we make Nigeria work? How do we move Nigeria forward? We are not bickering on who is the president, because at the end of the day, the person that is the president needs the support of every one of us to succeed. And in doing that, we need to see how we can add value, can contribute. Because living abroad, people get carried away thinking, oh, the moment they travel abroad, their problems are solved, they are done with Nigeria. That is just a blatant lie. Because there is nobody that is stateless. You cannot be stateless. You come from somewhere, and where you come remains your fatherland. It is always the first port of call in case you have issues. Foreign countries will always refer you back to your country because that is just your preference. That is just your starting point in life. So as it is now, we are really upbeat and we are excited. We are looking for opportunities to have the chance to actually bring a lot of things to Nigeria, particularly from Canada. As the Publicity Secretary of APC in Canada, we have members with diverse skill sets. We have members with different backgrounds. And I can tell you authoritatively that they are so excited at the opportunity this government seems to present. And why do I say the opportunity this government presents? Let's review the appointment of Dr. Mustafa to ECN.
I will get to appointments in just a moment, but you have talked about almost as though you are dissuading Nigerians from leaving the country abroad and asking them to have confidence in this particular administration. But we haven't heard about Nigerians abroad living in droves and coming back home. And also I want to ask you, has the president inspired confidence in the diaspora?
Well, it's good. Yeah, I like the way you have brought this question up now. There is a saying amongst us in APC Canada, people have japa, but now in Canada, within APC Canada, and what we are preaching is jakpada. That simply means coming back to Nigeria. We are excited to come to Nigeria. We're excited to attract investment and to bring investors to Nigeria. And that is why within our own means, we are giving Nigeria that positive image where we are. We are engaging our different communities to see that the average things the media tells them, the media perception is not a true representation of Nigeria and Nigerians. Because by and large, it is glaring to all that this government actually means well. Let's look at the outing of the president at NESG on Monday. That is a president that has a plan. That is a president that has his work clearly cut out for him and is upbeat about it. We are upbeat about it. And I, as a person, and many of our people in the last couple of weeks, I've had a few of our members who who have been in and out of Nigeria. And myself, I'm due to be in Nigeria very soon. I don't want to disclose it online, but I'm due to be in Nigeria very soon again because I'm exploring opportunities. I'm looking at ways that I can be a part of this success story. We started the success story from the primaries to the elections, and now in governance, we are all stakeholders, and we are going to ensure that we encourage people. People are now coming to see. We are not discouraging people from traveling abroad. Whoever wants to travel abroad is a matter of choice. I will never dissuade anybody. But the thing is, reality is different from expectation. People are unable to marry expectations and reality. In reality, when they get abroad, it's not always what they think it is before they leave Nigeria because of the way things have been painted back home. But we that we have upbeat, that we are patriotic, that we think things can actually work, because if it's going to work, it's up to you and I to make it work. No alien will fix Nigeria for us. Nigerians will fix Nigeria. Nigerians want Nigeria to work, but Nigerians are not ready to work for Nigeria to work.
Well, I think it also boils down to that reality and expectations that you mentioned earlier. People have expectations here as well, and the reality for them is different. And you talked about the president having a plan. And let's tie that with reality and expectation. Let's talk about the response to fuel subsidy removal. You have relatives who live back here. What are you hearing from them in terms of its impact on their standard of living?
Well, thank you very much about the subsidy. This subsidy issue affects each and every one of us, whether we are in Nigeria or we are abroad. We are all impacted one way or the other. Of course, my mother is still back home in Ibadan, okay? And I know things have changed. But the honest truth is, we cannot be robbing Peter to pay Paul. For years, the system had been robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yes, it is really excruciating. It is really painful. The reality is painful. But do we want to be funneling our commonwealth into the private pocket of a handful? For how long do we want to be serving individuals who are hell-bent in destroying the country as a whole? Let me make it clear. The issue of subsidy, no, subsidy does not exist anywhere in the world. And I'll give you an instance. The amount I buy a liter of petrol in the morning in Canada, in Toronto, is not the same price. I'll buy it in the afternoon. So if I buy a liter, right now, this morning, a liter of petrol, regular petrol, we have 3 different grades. A liter of regular gas is $1.57. So if I want to buy premium, a liter of premium is $1.82 as of this morning. Then in the evening, it will go down by a few cents. Tomorrow morning again, the price will change. That is what people don't understand, that subsidy removal simply means price fluctuation. If Nigerians are to actually pay for the real price of crude or for the real price of gas, trust me, it is not the price that it is right now. I believe government is still supporting it one way or the other. Otherwise, the price would have really gone above what it is currently. No country subsidizes such things. Even go to the US. The price of a gallon of petrol is different. And when we're talking about reality, the reality is nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's painful.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond 100 Days. We're speaking with Mr. Adedosu earlier, who is the publicity secretary of the APC Canada chapter. Was speaking on the impression of the Tinubu administration in diaspora, especially with Nigerians in diaspora. And he was sort of giving us an idea of what Nigerians feel about this administration abroad. I wanted to ask you, we're going to speak to Mr. Adedosu. So I wanted to speak to you about the appointment as well. You were already touching on it before I caught you then. But let's talk about it. Some Nigerians, believe that, look, the size of the president's cabinet is very large, especially with the current economic situation. For others, it's how it is the composition of the administration. How would you assess the president's ministers and their efforts made so far?
Each time I hear such complaint, I always say to them one thing: we have an unusual president. We have an uncommon president that everybody must support. And why do I say that? Never in the history of the country did we have any ministry called maritime blue economy. Nothing like that. So when you actually take a critical look at it, and the Ministry of Youth and Sport have been broken up. So when you look at it, we are talking about value, opportunities to add value, areas where income can be generated. And these new ministries, the large composition of the cabinet is not for fanfare, it is not for jamboree, it is for productivity. And for you to be able to get things done and harness resources, you need to actually carve this out and be specific in your deliverables, in the deliverable expectation from each of the ministers. Gone are the days when you lump everything together, that one minister has about 3 different portfolios that are actually ministries put together. We cannot operate on that. When people talk about this, go to the US, come to Canada. You need to see the amount of ministries and ministers that we have. We are talking about the economic reality. Yes, the economic reality is, the economic situation is what it is at the moment. But for us to jumpstart the economy, to kickstart the economy the way the president has envisioned it in the renewed hope agenda, we need to break all these ministries up. We need to break these parastatals up. And when we are talking about that, what we need to be looking at is how relevant are these ministries? How relevant are these government agencies? It's not enough to criticize just because we think it's appropriate for us to criticize. And one thing I like about Nigerians is, even when there's nothing to criticize, they will criticize that nothing. We need to look at value and not just the size. What value are they bringing? Each ministry, what potential does it portend for the country? What is it going to give to the average, to the economy as a whole? The president did not just break these things down because he wanted to bring people to government, because he wanted to satisfy some interest. No, this is somebody that's why I said we have an uncommon president. And as such, is looking for service optimization of service delivery. And the good thing is these ministers are being assessed. They have KPIs. So that tells you that this is not to fill up just to fill up the space. This is for productivity. And for us to have that productivity, we need to look at things concisely. And I think that's what the president has done. So that, like a joke, we always say, it is a joke for you to call somebody a foreman that one person cannot do the work of a foreman. The president believes in specialization for people to actually focus on areas where they can deliver to the Nigerian people.
And we'll see how well the ministers deliver. I mean, Mr. Adedo, so I really want to take this conversation with you further. But the network glitches did take a good part of our talk time. I'm sure we'll have you again as this administration progresses. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much for having me around, and I'll be more than happy to attend to your call again.
All right, that's our program today.